competition here. He wants to make sure they compete with joy. We've been around this team all week. They're excited to go kick this one off.
Well, in an era where you see fewer and fewer spring games, we've already seen it. The food that's on the line, two gymnasts for the coin flip. Jedd Fish, he did this at Arizona. He's done it here. He puts a lot of effort and thought into his spring football game.
Yeah, Guy, and it's important. You have to find ways to motivate your team, keep them engaged for the long haul. Jedd does a fantastic job at doing it.
We're going to see both the first and second team quarterbacks in the first half, and then the third, fourth, and fifth in the second half. Kai Horton and Damon Williams. Kai Horton, QB2, and he's the goal team quarterback.
Yeah, they feel really good about his growth. Since he got here at the start of spring practice, they knew he could be a passer, but they've been so impressed with his mastery of the system. Talking to Jimmy Doherty and Jedd Fish about him. He's entrenched himself right now as the #2 quarterback. He's had an opportunity today to play the whole half, as you referenced, to try to showcase his qualities with this offense.
And you got to start the game with a handoff to Jonah Coleman. And of course, he breaks 1 and 2 tackles to start it off for a big carry. These teams are split up evenly. This is not the ones versus the twos. So we get to see one of the best running backs in the country to start this game.
Guy, you talked about it. There's no better way to start the game than Jonah Coleman, one of the best backs in the country. And you see what he's done all year long last year, and he's continued to do it. I use my weapons, my stiff arm, lower my shoulder, finishing runs down the field. The first guy never brings him down.
This is what he did last year, averaged 5.5 yards a carry, 10 touchdowns, and he's going to get it again. And he's got a first down. They are allowed to tackle him, but that's easier said than done.
Yeah, we had a chance to talk to him in pregame. I said, hey, where have you really grown? And he goes, I know it's my time. I had to elevate as a leader. Also, in the weight room with his body. His body goes from 16 to 13% body fat. He said he's more explosive, more physical. He's shown that on the first 2 carries of the spring game.
And CJ Christian there, the transfer from FIU, a guy they like, and some experience coming in the secondary on the back end of that play. Kai Horton, his first throw today, and he is on the money to the receiver, Raiden Fines-Bright. We don't have the top 3 receivers available for Washington today. No Amari Evans, no Rasheed Williams, no Denzel Boston. Jedd Fish told us they expect to be back healthy in the fall.
You know, a big part of today is these young receivers, to your point. A lot of spring games not happening around the country. The ones that are, they want to put their players in front of a crowd, in front of cameras, on television. Today, for the receivers, it's about the freshmen. How do they show up? Nice job there, catching a high ball to move the sticks.
Maybe.
Kai Horton, the quarterback, 13 games in 4 years at Tulane. They said it's so important to find an experienced backup. And there he goes, back shoulder. There was some contact there. Ooh. The receiver is Justice Williams. And the coverage from Elias Johnson, the redshirt freshman. A little bit of
it looked like PI to me on that one.
I wonder, while we're talking about the receivers, Yogi, Guy, I'll tell you right now, this is a huge opportunity. I remember when I was here in this very stadium in my first spring game, coming in from my junior to senior year, we were looking for who was going to be the #1 receiver for Jake Locker, who was a young freshman phenom, and that was my time to show out at that spring game that I was going to be that #1 receiver. So I'm looking to see who's going to add production to that receiver room.
Into Coleman, Elinius Davis there on the stop, part of the middle of that defense. This is Denzel Boston and what he brings to this receiver group.
Well, he's clearly the #1 receiver. He's got a chance to be one of the top receivers in the Big Ten. His stats would back it up. Can't wait to see him healthy because he's got a chance to just be a game breaker. Can he be a true, dominant #1 wide receiver? You know Jedd Fish's offense is going to feature him. They're going to throw the football. I mean, he's targeted 98 times in 13 games last year, almost 100 times. They're trying to feed Denzel Boston. And I think, you know, this is an offensive guy. When you're out, you see the game from a different perspective. So his spring has not just been about this offense, but learning, what is Ryan Walters doing? How are teams going to try to take me away when I'm back and healthy?
Call those mental reps, Yogi, mental reps.
Horton gets it out quick, and this time on the money to Vines-Bright for a first down.
You know, Vines-Bright, check out the route here on the slant. It's a really nice job of being patient. This is 2 high safeties. There's a little area, a little pocket to make this throw. It's a second window throw. You got to wait a little bit as the quarterback, if you're Kai Horton, he does, puts it on the money. And this young player looking pretty productive in this first drive.
There were some growing pains early in spring ball with the absence of some of these veteran receivers, but they seem to have come along here in the second half of spring.
It allows a young receiver to actually grow up faster when you have those growing pains in practice.
And this offense, as you see it from under center, this is a pro-style, West Coast-based offense.
Play action. Hort with some pressure on him, which, you know, the quarterbacks are not live in this first half. The quarterbacks in the second half, they are live.
Yeah, that's a really nice job of Horton. Look, you get down to the tight red zone area, no sacks, no picks. They try with a little play action, a little naked, get the tight end to sneak out the backside, nothing doing, throw it away.
But to the point about pro-style offense, what does that mean if you come play football, if you come play offense at University of Washington?
Well, you're not just playing catch. You got to play quarterback. You got to be able to process. You got to be able to identify. You see it right now, Horton. What's the front? What are the linebackers doing? How are they aligning? You got to read a coverage, make a decision.
Tough catch for Coleman on the toss, but he's able to make it. And then there to make the tackle is Dyson McCutcheon, the senior, fifth-year Husky.
You know, talk about a fifth-year Husky. How about a first-year Husky at linebacker? Give the defense a little bit of love. Buda Alupta, to me, just a tackling machine. Transfer from Washington State. He has been absolutely phenomenal since he showed up. He's kind of that green dot guy. You see the green dot at the back of his helmet? That means that Ryan Walters is communicating the defensive calls to him. He showed up. He's earned the respect of his teammates. To me, he's the heart of this defense right now, Marcel.
You're right, Yogi. And when we were talking to Ryan Walters, he identified him as going to be a vocal leader on this team. He showed that in spring practice, and you love to see that. When you have that green dot, it's a badge of honor. That means I can communicate. I'm an intelligent football player.
Horton.
Oh, get it.
Unable to communicate, unable to connect with Audric Harris. Alupta, who you're talking about on defense, comes over from Washington State, but back in 2016, he was playing with the Snoop League youth football team. They came up here on a visit. One of the highlights of his trip was getting dapped up pregame by John Ross, a great Husky. Now he's on the field, and John Ross is here as one of the Husky alumni at the spring game. How cool is that?
We had a chance to talk to John moments ago on the field, and he goes, I can't believe I was here, and it was 8 years ago. Like, this thing just goes so fast. I'm sure Buda would say the same thing, from being a young pup to now being a big dog.
Sam Finnegan here for the field goal attempt.
Oh.
Last year, obviously, special teams were an issue. So many close games. This team had a chance to win 3 more games. 8 missed field goals on the season, 4 in the game against Rutgers. So something you want to see cleaned up as they get into the offseason with the special teams. And Jed Fish just making special teams a focus this offseason. Hires a true coordinator in Chris Petrilli. Comes over from Purdue, so just fully manned for special teams. Jordan Paopao had been splitting duties between tight ends and special teams, so a good move with Jed Fish as he made a few other staff additions this offseason.
Knowing Jed like we know Jed, he's not going to forget about that fumble snap right there on the field goal. He doesn't care that it's spring ball at all.
Well, that's the point of having a spring game, right? In practice, it's one thing, but here you got the band in front of you, you got students here, your families, you reference the cameras. Performance anxiety is a real thing, and you know, as a player, as well as I do, to find a way to navigate it. So I love that for this team, because it's an immediate lesson that you're going to be able to go to, especially for those on the special teams. Say, okay, what was our process like? Why did we drop it? How did it happen? They'll grow from that.
So important to have those reps.
We're also getting some opportunity for points here. Jed Fish bringing 2 soccer players out. Andrea Leyra representing the women's soccer team, and Chad Savdi representing the men's soccer team. And so they're going to have a chance to score points for each respective team. I mean, this is Jed Fish. Understand this, not only is he playing a spring game, all of his spring practices were open to the media and the public.
And the reason behind being open, he said, look, if we're going to ask our community, our fans, to support our collective, our NIL efforts, we got to make sure they know the players. Players put helmets on. You don't ever see their faces. You don't get to know necessarily their stories, especially with 34 new ones. Love what Jed Fish has done in that regard, and the creativity. He's been doing it ever since he's been a head coach.
All right, so here is Chad Savdi from the Husky men's soccer team.
Oh, on the money. Are you kidding me? He wasn't kidding around. They came out here in their cleats, proper equipment. This is not a game for them.
Jed saying, hold on, young man.
What number do we have available for him is what Jed's saying.
Adria Lera.
Oh, hello.
We're going to have some two-sport athletes here. That is fun. And a celebration.
Handshake action.
All right, Yogi, not a lot of movement, but here's some of the coaching adjustments.
Yeah, a couple promotions from within, and Jimmy Doherty, Michael Switzer, and Aaron Van Horn. But Taylor Mays, Seattle born and bred, O'Day High School right around the corner, played at USC, now is coaching the safeties. Brian Odom was at North Texas, but he's coached on a lot of places around the country. He comes to coach the linebackers. And how about Ryan Walters, former head coach? We had such a great conversation with him this week. He had a chance to kind of do whatever he wanted after he was let go of Purdue. Could have taken the year off, which would have been fine. You know, nobody would have flinched if he did that. He said that lasted all of 48 hours. I need to coach Jedd Fisch, as he always does, with studying other teams. He studied when Sean McVay got the Rams job. So, oh, there's Wade Phillips. You study Mike Shanahan. He brings former Chargers head coach.
Yeah.
He's like, can I get a guy with some head coaching experience and a defensive mind? He got maybe the steal of the coaching cycle as an assistant with Ryan Walters being his DC.
Yeah, Yogi, and it's a mutually beneficial deal. When you think about it from the Ryan Walters perspective, he's saying, I'm a football guy, I need to be in football. Now I get to do what I love to do and focus on defense. And Jedd Fisch, he's like, I get to be the CEO of this team. I get to pay attention to this offense, and I have a guy who is an extraordinary leader manning my defense, and I don't have to worry about it unless I absolutely want to. You have to love that if you're a Washington Husky fan, because that is the way this team should be structured.
You're right. It's a great pitch to Ryan Walters, right? Like, hey, you get to be the head coach of the defense. And you think about Ryan Walters, the last time he was a defensive coordinator at Illinois, he was at one of the top defense. We're talking about top number 2 defense in the country. So, and on top of that, his parents are here.
Yeah.
He's getting to come home in a sense, to be around them. And they call it the greatest setting in college football, and we can understand why. 65 degrees. You know, the spring game is called Dogs After Dark. The sun will be up until the end of this game. The sun's setting at 8:24 tonight, Pacific time. And now we get DeMond Williams for the first time. And look at that ball snap out of his hands. And the play still going. Chris Lawson, the freshman 4-star wide receiver. Maybe this young man could play right away. You know, it's going to be a battle. All these guys want to be a part of this offense with DeMond Williams.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that it is no mistake that the young freshman Chris Lawson and DeMond Williams are on the same team in this spring game right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Look, here with DeMond Williams, the bottom line is when he played last year, he was really effective, right? He was a change of pace quarterback for the majority of the season. Starts the game against Oregon, starts the bowl game against Louisville, and in that bowl game had 15 practices to repair. So he showcased some of his ownership of this offense as we see a little leap there from the tight end, Quentin Moore coming back. It's pretty good to see him in.
Great to see Quentin Moore in, hurt on the 12th play of the year last year. His 7th year of college football. Get him in on the action fast.
How about this? This is the thing. Tight ends just leaping. We've seen it all across the Big Ten. But most importantly, you're right, Guy. Right around that spot on the field where he stands right now is where he was injured. He's had to come back. He's just attacked rehab. It is awesome to see him making plays on this field.
DeMond Williams played in every game last year, as Yogi said, started against Oregon at the end of the year and then played in the ball game. And the numbers were just ridiculous. The last 2 games, he was 83% completion, 575 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 pick. Now, 15 sacks. But as you heard Alyssa talk to Jed about, part of this offense improvement this year is going to be what they expect the offensive line. If they give him time, look at what he can do, get the ball down the field.
Yeah, look, when I evaluate DeMond Williams, and known him since the Elite 11 in high school, he's clearly a dual threat quarterback, but he's a passer. And you look at him, last year was playing around 180 pounds. He's near 200 right now, and he's got, look at that athleticism. I mean, I know you can't tackle him, but you weren't going to tackle him regardless. And I just think that dual threat ability, when you can be a surgical quarterback in terms of hitting spots and that accuracy, and then you could add this, a little zone read, RPO, whoop. I mean, Get used to it, folks.
It's effortless. It's effortless. I talked to a few people in DeMond's circle, and as you know, he's from Chandler, Arizona, went to Bastrop High School, was an exceptional athlete there. But they say he is a passer first. He loves to pass the ball. Him being able to run is just icing on the cake. And I said in the open, he is fast. He has elite speed at that quarterback position.
Marcel, that was your old basketball crossover he just pulled out, too. That ball goes sailing over the head of Adam Muhammad.
Yeah, I think to that point, Jed Fish said something that was pretty thoughtful and definitely raised some eyebrows. He said that he's the best player I've ever been around at this age, at this time of one's career. So you follow up and say, well, why? Because he just pours into the craft. I mean, look, I think we're in an era where this sport has become dramatically individualized. But if you want to be an elite quarterback, you have to be that person that has the it factor, which elevates everyone in the room. DeMond has done that since he's shown up here with great humility, an incredible work ethic. And I think as you watch him play now, the biggest challenge for him will be discernment. As games get tight, big plays need to happen. He's going to be experiencing a lot of them for the first time, which is why the last 2 games of last season were so critical.
Yeah, yo, got to talk to DeMond Williams Sr. for a little bit and got a little story that nobody knows.
Tell us.
And he said something that told me a lot about DeMond as a teammate, because the athletic ability jumps off the field. But there was a story in high school where he had the opportunity, if you know anything about, oh, look at that guy.
Tell you what, DeMond Williams' dad, I know he's watching these highlights because we did too. Look at Marcel Weiss. We're sneaking these in. It might not be HD, but you're still making plays, my man. What was it? What was it like to make plays in this very stadium, in this setting?
It was the opportunity of a lifetime. Probably the greatest decision in my life, besides my wife and my kids. But athletically, just coming here and looks like the replay. Love to see that. But listen, being out here was a great thing. The fans are fantastic. Our team was unbelievable, and this is where you develop relationships of a lifetime. You got to love college football, and there's no better setting in college football to be than Seattle, Washington, playing for the Huskies.
They even you have a slip out there for your boat with your name on it. That's the best part. All right, I want to hear the story that no one knows.
So, if you know the landscape of Arizona high school athletics, it's open enrollment, this, that, and the other. But to make a long story short, DeMond had an opportunity to go to one of the most prestige and powerful high schools as we watch Jonah Coleman do what Jonah Coleman does, which is finish runs and extend them for explosive plays. Anyhow, DeMond had an opportunity to transfer, and his dad brought it to him, and he sat in the couch and looked his dad in the face and said, I can't go unless they take my entire team. These are my brothers, and we all deserve to be exposed the same way. And he ended up staying at Bastrop High School for his team.
That last season, they each became really QB1 for their team. Michael Penix for the Atlanta Falcons after being the #8 overall pick, and then DeMond Williams played in every game, right? But those last 2 games he started, so I'm sure there's some interesting conversations between those two as Michael Penix talking up the young quarterback here at Husky Stadium.
Yeah, I mean, and to that point, it was intentional. Jed Fish really wants these 2 guys to get together and DeMond be able to pick Michael's brain.
The quarterback position is such a fraternity, right? And as you go through ebbs and flows of a season, being able to talk to somebody who's lived it. Right now, DeMond Williams is going to be able to text or call Michael Penix Jr., just like Michael Penix Jr. was able to talk to people that he grew up around the craft around. And part of the UW family is just that. I mean, we were with Lincoln Kennedy in the team room as he addressed the entire team tonight before this spring game. And I got to imagine if I'm an offensive lineman, I'm doing what Lincoln said, which is protect that quarterback.
All right, Kai Horton back at quarterback, and he gets touched down by Isaiah Ward. You know, we talk about the players that came from Arizona. Isaiah Ward from University of Arizona. Isaiah Ward, one of them. And one of the keys to getting after the football this year for this Ryan Walters defense. How different or similar is this defense to what Steve Belichick ran last year?
Oh, I think it's different. I think, you know, there's similarities in terms of how they want to just change the picture on a quarterback and make life challenging. But fundamentally, these guys are all learning a new scheme. And I think it's really exciting when you look at this defensive front and the safeties that are new in this scheme, guy. You'll see 5 defensive linemen, as you see right now, on the line of scrimmage, right? It talked about as like a 5-1 defense, 1 linebacker in the middle of this defense. Yeah. What you're trying to do is really confuse the quarterback. And a nice job there not being confused, right? Kai Horton is saying, all right, 5 guys are down. He's anticipating, is somebody going to drop into coverage? Nobody does. No problem. We have an advantage with the numbers. It's off coverage, throw the slant, move this, at least put us into 3rd and manageable. Or 4th and manageable.
To your point, Yogi, changing that picture for the quarterback, I think one of the biggest differences in this defense than the past is they're going to be changing it early in pre-snap. They're going to have change in looks. So the biggest thing and note for the defensive players is simplifying it for yourself, understanding where you want to get to by the end of the play, not where you start.
I just love that Ryan Walters had to change signals, not for these players, but because he's been using the same signals the last 5 years in the Big Ten. That is well defended and broken up by Alex McLaughlin, the transfer from Northern Arizona, and it feels like they can't say enough good stuff about him.
Yeah, it looks 4th and short. You know where the sticks are. He's experienced, as you referenced, just playing football, not at this level. Beautiful timing. He's a guy who almost had 100 tackles a year ago. Driving on the route, no PI. Perfect job from his hand placement. And I think a big part, in addition to that 5 defensive lineman look, where you have linebackers or D linemen, is you're going to play a ton of man coverage.
Yeah.
And I think as you project this thing out into the season, you got 2 corners in Takario Davis and Ephesians Price-Lux that stands 6'4". Right, it's going to be press man. They're going to be physical. They're going to attack. You saw it there. It's a beautiful example on 4th and short.
So Damon Williams back in.
Uh-oh.
They're trying to set up a trick. What are they trying to? He's going to throw it back.
Yeah,
this is
throw
Adam
back.
Mohammed.
Definitely got to throw it back.
Tell you what, it's a really nice job of Mohammed, because there's a world where that was going the other way. Deshaun Lynch, who's really been a standout at the defensive end position, reads it, tries to bait Mohammed into the throw. Nice job by that 2nd-year running back of not making a bad play much worse.
If you're the defense and you see Jonah Coleman go out for a breath this year, you're like, all right. Oh, the next guy's just as hard to tackle. Look at Adam Mohammed.
Oh, looking at this team in this backfield, Adam Mohammed being in tandem with Jonah Coleman is going to be fantastic. We're talking about one of the top 3, top 4 backfields in the country, because no defense that they play against is going to have a break. They're both tough, they're both strong, and they present different attributes that are very, very tough to tackle.
Yeah, and look, a big part of it is the revamped offensive line. Last year, 7 offensive linemen in the spring. Now they got 16, and a huge part of that is big number 50, Carver Willis. To me, I think he's entrenched himself as a starting left tackle, transfer from Kansas State. And you look at this offensive line, all 3 of those 4 returners are tackles. They have 4 tackles, including Carver Willis, that have Power 4 experience. Last year was such a learning curve, just trying to survive. They finally have some competitive depth up front.
Not only that, Yogi, but when you talk about this offensive line, I'm talking to a ton of alumni. They're saying this offensive line may be the biggest offensive line in the past 10 years for a Washington team. And when you talk about big offensive line, we're talking about big Lincoln Kennedy and those guys. They are massive. Carver Willis standing 6'5", 291 some odd pounds, and with athleticism, talking about a dancing bear. Look at him. Great hands, strikes, and finishes blocks.
Yeah, Pocky Finau, 6'5", 310. How about the true freshmen that have really made a push? Out there is Champ Laulea, true freshman out of Valley Christian High School in Northern California. And he's making a little bit of noise. He and John Mills in the interior offensive line. They finally, to your point, look the part, but they also can play. Like they've got, I think, when you look at from the spring now to camp, they'll have another 20-odd practice before the first game. This offensive line is going to look much different.
When you talk about building a dynamic and successful football team at any level, but especially at the collegiate level, you want to control the trenches, being those offensive and defensive lines. And this year you can see, especially in spring ball, that Washington, Jed Fish and company are focusing on this offensive line, trying to rebuild it from the ground up and starting with some experience bringing it in. And you have to be excited when you see these big guys take the field.
Yeah. 39 sacks last year, most allowed. Now 15 of those came in the last game of the regular season and the bowl game. And part of the format of this spring game is the under 6 timeout, which is what this is, the 6-minute timeout. And that means that more activities from from Jed Fish. By the way, we got to give credit to the tackle on that last play, Bryce Butler and Tai Uyunglele.
Yeah, I was just going to reference him on this second and long upcoming. Uyunglele transfers in from Arizona. He has really got some explosive ability coming off the edge, but he can also kick down. And a big part of this defense is trying to challenge offensive coordinators of what personnel am I putting on the field.
Let's go down on the field, Alyssa, with Denzel Boston.
Yeah, certainly a wide receiver that's going to make an impact this season like you did last year. I know you're out for precautionary reasons, but what are you seeing so far out of your young quarterback, Damon Williams?
You know, I'm seeing some great stuff. I'm seeing a lot of explosiveness. You see his twitch and the way he's running the ball right now and the way he's getting out that pocket and scrambling. And, you know, he can set up and throw that thing, and we're waiting on it.
What about you? I know you wanted to put on some weight this year and change up a little bit about how you played. Tell us about that.
Yeah, you know, there's two levels to being a receiver. You got to get off the first level and also get off the second level. And I feel adding that upper body strength and, you know, being able to play through that second level will be a big game changer for me this year.
Tell me about Omari Evans, also out right now, but a guy who transferred from Penn State. How dynamic could you two be together with Damon?
You know, we could definitely be dynamic, and we could definitely be another big three here at UW.
What's it like to see Michael Penix Jr. out here walking around on the sidelines?
You know, it's kind of surreal. It's just awesome to see him out here, and it's awesome to see him walking around and vibing around with the young guys, you know, and just them getting to be around some great guy like him.
All right, well, I'm hoping you get the good dinner banquet, not the rice and beans, all right?
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Guys, back to you.
So is he.
Yeah. You ain't lying, man.
Some of the key pieces returning. I mean, he said big three. They've had some good big threes here in the last several years.
Talking about also having a dynamic quarterback. He knows what it looks like, and he wants to get there too. Love that he's putting on weight, because as a receiver, especially here at Washington, being in that Big Ten, you have to be able to block. You have to be able to hold up in the season, and love that they're talking about changing their bodies. That is a grown man's mentality, a pro mentality. So you have to think that Denzel Boston is set for a huge year.
Yeah, well, that's the expectation, and I think he's got a beautiful opportunity to meet it. A big reason why is the guys up front. Now, this is an offense, and Jedd Fisch is known for his passing acumen, but he's trained in running the rock. Go back to like Alex Gibbs, the originator of the zone run game. This is what this team wants to do. Now, they do it a little differently. See from the gun, you'll see it out of the pistol, you see some QB runs. How about this? Extension of the play. Nice job there.
Uyunglele celebrated his sack there, by the way. Tai is the cousin of DJ and Mateo. Uyunglele.
Damon Williams wants a big play before he gets out of here. He wants to throw a touchdown before he has to sit down and watch the young guys and cheer them on and play coach. He wants to get a touchdown. You can see it in his eyes.
Yeah, what I love, this is an opportunity for him, right? You know, he's probably debating, was I sacked or wasn't I? You saw the smile as he looks at Jedd Fisch. But in a game, you come out, you got this great game plan, you want to move the ball, and here you are, late second quarter. This is a great opportunity to say, yeah, offense hasn't had an explosive play. You just got to play catch. You just got to just take what the defense gives you. You got to understand that just moving the sticks is going to allow you to go in and set up a play action pass. And now we're here on a third down. You got to anticipate a little pressure.
Up the middle, Uyunglele collapses the pocket, and Williams gets it out to Mohammed, and he gets tackled down shy of the stick by Leroy Bryant.
That is a great example of what Yogi was just referencing. Just playing catch. Let's move the sticks, stay on the field, get to the next down. Being a smart quarterback, understanding the situation.
Yeah, and now you're in fourth and manageable, right? I mean, you're going to go for it here. I think the freshman, Damon Williams, maybe he gets sacked here or he tries to take a big play or runs with it. You got to know the situation. It's not always just a 2-minute or 4-minute situation, but there it was. 3rd and 7. What do we need to make sure that now Jedd Fisch and Jimmy Doherty can say we're going to go for it on a 4th down? It's that fringe area right here on the 41. They're going to go for it all day.
Not that much, not too much of a fringe when you have Damon Williams back there.
There you go. I keep an eye on the tight end, bottom of the screen right there, number 88, Quentin Moore.
There's Mohammed, and well, this is close. He ends up a yard back. They're marking the ball right at the 40, which was the line to gain.
That was a great play by Devin Bryant right there, number 17. He has been a star this spring. Had a huge spring. You'll see him right there in your picture.
Yogi's circling him, and you see the strength there. He won the Iron Dog Award in the weight room. That is everything. That means there's a lot of bragging rights in that. That means you're lifting the most. That means you are working the hardest in the weight room, and there is a huge competition for that.
He got the first down.
Well.
Only linebacker in the room with experience playing here. It tells you how much has changed at linebacker for Washington.
Oh, DeMond's going for it.
On the play action,
That's a
Bryant
sack.
gets the
Yeah.
sack. So back-to-back big plays from Devin Bryant. 8 games as a true freshman last year. The young man from St. John Bosco.
Guys, I don't know if you've noticed yet. If you look down here on this gold sideline, Taylor Mays' energy is ridiculous. He has not slowed down since the flip-off. He is going crazy.
Taylor Mays, a guy that you played with in the NFL, a guy that Yogi recruited at USC, and still looks like he can strap him up.
Nice job there on the pressure from Brian. And I can remember Taylor Mays at 14 years old came into the SC facility, and I said, "What team do you play for in the NFL?" He goes, "I'm still in high school."
Mohammed able to keep his feet enough. The initial clip there was from Bryce Butler, and then he goes down shy of the original line of scrimmage. So that'll be 3rd down and 11. Butler who clips him here. It does more than clip him, just about pulls him down, and then Lynch comes over, and now we hit the 2-minute timeout. And for all of the running clock and the adjusted rules, this is where we get into the real 2-minute timing, and they're really going to play this as if it is a game situation.
You know, if you're watching the Jetfish team, he's going to focus on situational football. It's so important to everything that we do.
Yeah, and
he's also going to build his defense from the front back. It's one of the things he says he's learned over the years.
yeah, from Bill Belichick is one of the all-time greats in terms of building teams and especially defensive fronts. They return some pieces. Russell Davis, he's probably the more talented one out of that group on the edge. He's not going tonight, but I like the new faces. Uyunglele, we have referenced. How about Samote Peppa, transfers in from Utah. He can play interior defensive line. He can play right over the center. He's a physical player. The guy who's had a nice spring is Ontario Thompson, transfer from Western Michigan. He was at Iowa. He's at Iowa Western. He's had a journey. He's become the vocal leader of this group on the defensive front this offseason.
All right, so 3rd down and 11. And, as Marcel said, now we're really into situational football here in the 2 minutes.
Oh, he's taking a shot.
And he overshoots and leads out of bounds. An incomplete pass in coverage was Ramones Adams, the freshman from Texas. And now it's 4th down.
A nice job of Adams. Oftentimes you see young freshmen just trying to get into a foot race with the receiver. Stays on top the entire time. No chance for a play to be made down the field.
Love to see Jed on the field right at the 50-yard line, watching his young quarterback take a shot there. And I think DeMond's going to want that one back. Jed's telling him he could have came right down to the middle of the field and had the same shot for a 1st down.
I'd like to see the matchup at the top of the screen. Leroy Bryant has had a pretty impressive first half right now. He's had a pretty impressive spring as well. He's super versatile. He started in the Sun Bowl. He can play the nickel. He can play corner. He's off coverage here at the top of the screen now.
Wearing 0 in white. Williams looking the other way. And he cannot complete it inbounds. That's Marcus Harris, the freshman from Mater Dei.
I got a feeling Harris was a little short on his route. These corner routes, often as a young player, you're supposed to break it 12 yards. You could break it at 10, and that's why it's out of bounds. It's a timing throw. Demond Williams did not waste a hit, should not waste anything on his drop. Great learning moment for a young player as the defense is excited and celebrating a 4th down. And here we go again. 2-minute drill the other way.
You're right, Yogi. He wants to break that route at 10 yards and roll it down at 12 yards and roll it down to 10. And he broke it at 10 and rolled it down at 8. It ends up out of bounds.
So now it's
learning tape.
Kai Horton's chance to run 2-minute. And he's going to take a shot to the sideline. Into coverage and intercepted. Elias Johnson, the redshirt freshman, with the pick. Cornerbacks, a long and storied history here at UW.
Yeah, this is awesome from Johnson. Watch him. He'll just force the receiver to go wider and wider and wider. It's like he runs the route for him. You see it there late. Receiver fades on the ball, and Johnson says, "I got this." Justice Williams, that's another lesson learned for the wide receiver. Big, 6'4". You can't give up that space as you're running the go ball.
He's going to have to learn how to use his body, lean into it, and give the quarterback space. We call it holding that red line, 6 yards from the sideline, hold that quarterback space to throw it so it doesn't have to necessarily throw it in a bucket. Then you get to go get it.
Real competitive room for John Richardson. He's got a promising group at corner.
He knows he's got a lot of talent. You go back in the history of this program, I mean, it's been known as DBU in at least the mid-2000s. You think of Kevin King, Sidney Jones, Trent McDuffie, a couple Super Bowls for him, being a first-round draft pick. And you've got the potential with some really long veterans, and then you got some young players, and Elijah Johnson trying to add his name to that list as well.
Sticky catch there from Luke Gayton, the walk-on, and so it's back to Damon Williams with a chance to hustle it down the field. And he might have been past the line of scrimmage, and a flag's going to come out.
Speaking of long veterans in that DB room, number 24, Mikael Esteen. He's had 3 head coaches here. He's a 6-year senior. He's stuck through and committed and embodies what it is to be a dog. That's what they're saying around here, around there in the alumni room. He's a guy who has veteran leadership and is coming into his own. And he played well at the end of last season. I think he's going to have a big year.
I think he can really have an impressive year. The safeties in this defense are so critical. Nice little competition going there. Alex McLaughlin, we referenced him. We referenced Mikael Esteen, CJ Christian. It's a nice little group there for Ryan Walters and company.
The offense takes a timeout. The purple takes a timeout. Big penalty there. Yeah. Damon Williams, who was, you heard the announcement, across the line of scrimmage on that pass.
And again, like, these are the lessons learned in these games, in these situations. So now here you are, 2nd and long. You know the situation before the half. Jed Fish might have told him, hey, this is the end of game situation because this is it for him today.
With pressure at his face, he's able to connect with Austin Simmons. Gets back to the original line of scrimmage. The freshman tight end who had offers from West Point and Air Force. And it brings some toughness to that tight end room.
The tight end room is, to me, going to be so critical for this offense. Watch Damon Williams scan the field. He's going left, trying to stay balanced. He's got the ability. He's got such unique arm talent where he doesn't have to set his feet perfectly every time. I mean, very rarely. We watch college football every weekend. How many throws a game do you ever see a quarterback just take a 3-step drop and ball is out? Like, it doesn't happen. You have to play from a muddied pocket. You have to be able to make 2nd and 3rd reaction throws. And that's Jimmy Doherty right next to Damon Williams. That he charted every single throw, every practice. A 1 if it was perfect. A 2 if it was the right read, but the ball was a little off, and a 3 is if you missed it. Right there was a great example of what he can do when things aren't great and still be accurate with the ball.
Beginning on Wednesday, catch the entire 2025 Big Ten softball tournament from the first pitch through the championship game. It's right here on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. That is a short walk away from where we sit here.
This is fun. Marcus Harris on the 3rd down.
And again, to Yogi's point, Damon Williams will not play the 2nd half. So Yogi, you're saying treat this like the end of the game, but he gets sacked. And a big loss there for Uiagalelei. And how many, this is a lot of possessions for a 2-minute situation.
I love it, man. We know Jed Fish well enough. He's trying to maximize every opportunity to teach. And again, there aren't going to be fans here in this stadium again until they kick it off against Colorado State on August 30th. So giving both sides of the ball, special teams now, if you're backed up, you know they're going to come after it late in the half, try to see if you can steal some points and win that vaunted middle 8, the guy you reference all the time.
Troy Petz, the punter here. They're also adding Luke Dunn, the transfer from Oregon, coming in the summer and the fall.
That's a pretty one.
That was a great punt. I don't know, it's windy here as well. There's the BTN barge.
Full circle when you see these young guys embrace the elders like myself.
There's Kai Horton under some pressure. It is a big part of the spring game. You know, Jed Fish said a spring game is when you bring back a lot of alums. So if you don't have a spring game, when are you going to get all these guys back together like this and get them around your team at a time when the team can really interact with them? Connecting with the past of this program was such a big reason why he loved the spring game.
I mean, that's how you build tradition, Guy. You're right. It's how you build tradition. It's how you build a culture of giving back and then embracing what happened before you. It's going to be tough in this new dynamic of college football, but I'm sure Jed's going to be the guy that figures it out, how to navigate it.
Well, you have to ask the question, right? Is this the last spring game in the history of the sport? Will we have spring games next year? Here's pressure, Horton, and he puts it on the money. Raiden finds Bright, who's had a good first half. A couple of explosive plays for him.
Does a really nice job of Kai Horton just biding time in the pocket. They're throwing this off his back foot, trying to check it down, trying to find a hole shot. He finds his young wide out in an intermediate route right in the zone. I love the location, right? Sometimes guys are just throwing fastballs, takes a little bit off it, gets it, get out of bounds, and away you go, first down on the 31.
Really
5-yard pickup.
Really good touch on the ball. Finds Bright. I love the way he runs the top of his routes. He's really precise at the top, and he has natural quickness. I'm going to look forward to seeing how he runs the entire route tree. Finds Bright at the top again.
There he is. And a first down.
Yogi, this kid is quick. At the top of that route, he's a one-stepper right now. He gets up. What I mean by that is he's not taking an extra step to get out. He takes that one step, turns around, shows the quarterback his numbers, and then has the ability to turn and reverse pivot and get up the field.
Tell you what, the most impressive part about him after that play is he looked like he got a little banged up. And sometimes you see players stay down. And if you're in the 2-minute drill, the situation they're in right now, all of a sudden the clock could keep going. He got up because he knew he was going to spike it. You spike it, and away you go.
And Kai Horton's grimacing a little bit as well.
Grimace on him.
A little limp.
Jed doesn't look concerned.
No. We'll see Dash Byerly, Keeney McMillan, and Shea Kuykendall. Those will be the quarterbacks in the second half when the quarterbacks go live for the defense.
Well, Horton's been impressive, and down here in the red zone, they love finding their tight ends. Keep an eye right now on 86, Decker DeGraff. He's in the bunch at the bottom of the screen.
Horton with pressure, and he throws a pick. C.J. Christian, the transfer from FIU, showing the speed. Coleman is able to save the touchdown. But what a big moment for the purple. And C.J. Christian, what an incredible story for him to be in this place, in this moment right now, Yogi.
Yeah, C.J. Christian has been on a journey in his college career.
Oh, the boys in the boat.
They are just rowing right now. You'll see it. I think the offense thought it was a sack, but Christian said, no, I'm going to make a play. And this is a guy who graduated from Normal Community High in 2019, tried to play college football D2 in South Dakota, didn't qualify. Had to get a job. He might have stepped out of bounds there, but it's a spring game. Let it roll, is what I say, at least for the defense. But he has to get a job. He gets a job at KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. This guy wanted to play college football. He worked for 3 days, and he's like, I can't do this anymore. He applies for a couple other jobs, finally gets one, and then he just has this passion that gets reignited. He wants to play college football. He goes to a JC in Iowa. Then he goes to FIU under Mike McIntyre. Had a chance to finish his career out there after they let Mike McIntyre go. Said, no, I want to play in a big-time place every single weekend where every snap matters. Found UW, love the relationship, the family environment here under Jed Fish. And now he's picking balls off in the spring game and trying to get a couple points before that.
And Grady Gross is lining up for what would be, this doesn't count, but this would be a career-long 49-yarder. It is windy down there on the field. Gross has plenty of leg, and he nails it.
Doesn't count for a career run, but it counts towards steak. I'll tell you that much.
Remember, the 3-3 score earlier was from the two soccer players who came out in the first quarter. So these are the first points scored by the football.
Tracking him down.
All right, so we had the first team quarterback, Damon Williams, and the second team quarterback, Kai Horton. In the first half, we're going to see the other quarterbacks in this half, and for this half, they will be live. The purple with a field goal, a 49-yarder, which would be Grady Gross's career long at the end of the first half. And so now it'll be the opportunities for QBs 3, 4, and 5, and it'll be Dash Byerly who gets the first opportunity. He is probably about QB3 right now if you look at this quarterback depth chart. The freshman from Mater Dei High School. And he's going to lead the purple offense out here in the third quarter.
You're a quarterback out of Mater Dei High School. You know you come from a long line of pedigree out there. If you know anything about SoCal football in high school, Mater Dei High School is dynamic when it comes to quarterback play.
And here's Adam Mohammed, who continues his play. Again, if you're just joining us, the teams are broken up evenly. And there is Tai Uyunglele. Got a good first half with the tackle. Byerly, the true freshman. And because of what you said, Marcel, kind of the heat that comes with being in Mater Dei, the coach has told us, very poised young man.
Well, he's a pocket passer. He's got some athleticism to him. To your point, Mater Dei, Matt Leinart, Matt Barkley, Bryce Young. I mean, it's just been a pipeline of quarterbacks. They know how to win. They know how to compete. They know how to place the ball. They're always in big games. He showed up here. Great acumen, pedigree. Jed Fish looking at him under center. Little play action.
What's he see?
That's on time.
Oh, and it's knocked away at the last moment. He hit Jace Burton. And then coming up to make the hit was Rashawn Clark, the redshirt freshman.
I'll tell you what, I love the play call and the design. Jace Burton on the corner route, and he kind of drops it as it goes through his hands, and the physicality Rashawn right through it.
Rashawn Clark is a fantastic DB. We talked to Coach Ryan Walters earlier yesterday, and he mentioned him as a flat-out ball hawk, meaning he sees ball and he goes to get ball. You see him being physical at the point of attack there.
And you see he's from Seattle. That's so important, right? He originally commits to Cal, then he commits to Arizona with Jed, and then he comes home with Jed Fish. Keeping the best players in the state, here in the state, has been such a big focus for Fish.
Oh, we got a pick.
Yeah,
He's going
Biley
six.
was hit as he let it go, and it's a pick six for Ryland Dillard Allen, the true freshman.
Turning turnovers to points. That is how you steal possessions and win football games.
Jed Fish told the team, I want you to celebrate tonight. You get a pick, you get scored a touchdown, you have fun with the fans.
Can you imagine hearing that as a young guy? A coach like Jed Fish comes to you and says, I want you to celebrate.
Well, I'll tell you what, you got to get a big assist to number 92, Bryce Butler. He gets his hands on Byerly. And then there it is, Dillard Allen celebrating. You talk about recruits from Seattle. He comes from Arizona. Great hands, can fly. Now the freshman can say, I scored because of the stadium. Yeah.
Sam Finnegan on for the point after. RDA, they call him.
And they got a little bit of a
Jonah
kicker
Coleman.
change.
So Jonah Coleman has come out for the point after. He's marking it off.
Huge runs, big time tackle, running down a fast guy. Can he add field goal to the resume today?
Why would we say no?
There it is. The man can do everything.
Oh, they started this game off with a flip-off, which was amazing, watching two gymnasts do backflips into the end zone. And after a PAT, we get to watch one of the best running backs in America do the same thing.
Now Travis Hunter has gone from the sport, the college sport. We know that we needed another two-way star.
Well, in the PAT, he knew it was good, and then it was the celebration. To put the helmet down, make sure you're safe, nobody near you.
I mean, after that kick, it's almost Steph Curry-esque. Before it even goes in, let me just turn away from it and start to celebrate. And look at the execution on the flip, landing clear on the feet.
You know, he does everything right. This is a 3.93 GPA. I said in the field in pregame, I said, you're a 3.9, right? He goes, no, 3.93. Going to graduate in December with a degree in education. His body transformed. He's done a little bit of everything. Look at this photo, not Photoshop. This is real life. Before on the left, reality on the right. Body fat drops almost 3%. Yoked up, rocked up. He is worth all of the hype.
Sheesh.
That's 3 months right there.
Yeah, it's 3 months, 90 days.
That's inspiring everybody out there now. And we need that Jonah Coleman workout plan.
A sense of urgency, right? That's what we heard from the coaches about him. 55 rushing yards and 1 made PAT.
Not bad for a spring game showing, though.
That's right. Saw him celebrate with Jacob Manu, the transfer linebacker,
Hey,
Arizona.
And saved the touchdown. Let's not forget that.
And saved the touchdown.
He might have stepped out of bounds, but
We didn't go to
regardless,
the, but they didn't review it. The
that's
field goal
right.
came from the spot.
Right now he's running. He's got the MVP opportunity, right? Well, this is great. This is a great opportunity now for Dash Byerly, right? Call this pace, plays after critical errors, right? You want to watch how does a quarterback navigate after a negative play. That was a momentum swinging play. The score has changed. The game has changed. Now for this young quarterback, how has he changed after a negative play?
He's going to throw on the move.
Oh, we got another turnover.
Wow.
Ball is out.
Well, Ryan Walters is saying this is what we came to do.
I think it was Dylan Allen again, all over the ball, making a play.
Sean Clark comes out with it.
Not only making a play, but making a name for himself, yo.
Here's Clark. Let's see who gets their hand. Oh, it might be his hand. Let's see. Trying to punch it out. He rips it out. Look at Clark. Nice job by him.
That is how you see spring practice being translated in game time decisions. Intentionally going for the punch. You don't get the punch. Now you go for the rip. That is how you tackle like a professional.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the headlines out of the spring game feels like it's going to be the question, is DBU back? Because the DBs have been one of the headlines today.
Well, they'll have their opportunity early in the season going up against teams that love to throw the rock. And remember, they're not playing with their top two corners.
Keeney McMillan at quarterback now. First time that we've seen him. Another catch for Ray Vines Bright.
That was a laser out to the numbers, Yogi.
Keeney's against Prysock. Yogi, to your point, not playing. Maybe the #1 corner on this team.
Yep, he and Takario Davis. And I'll tell you what, Keenan McMillan, it's been fun to just hear about his career. Mililani High School, home of Dylan Gabriel, now a Cleveland Brown, as the all-time leader in starts in all of college football. Keeney went to that same high school. Junior year, he was player of the year in Hawaii. Absolutely balled out, threw for over 40 touchdowns. Injured his senior year, so good to see him back here playing some real ball.
First carry for Jordan Washington today.
Jordan Washington out of Long Beach, Jordan. He can absolutely fly. Jed Fish lit up when he saw him coming out for warm-ups. Took that first easy up pass. Jed Fish looked at me and said, he can go. He has that old school LA speed. If you know anything about Southern California, in the city of Los Angeles, where I come from, we build them fast out there.
4.38 40.
Oh, yeah.
4.38.
Hey, guy out here doing his homework. You heard him.
Somebody go tell John Ross at 4.21.
I wanted no part of John Ross. I'm gonna be happy with my 4.38 and sit over here.
I love
We
it.
need an alumni game. If the spring game goes away, we need an alumni game. 'Cause you're not going in the portal.
No, he'd be coming back. That'd be pretty fun. I love this. This is fun. You referenced earlier, Guy, the quarterbacks are live. You see a quarterback zone read. I think it's great for both sides of the ball. Now for the defense, you can't over pursue. Both quarterbacks have had runs in this quarter, designed runs, RPO type runs. Now they're going to spread them out here on 1st and 10 in the red zone.
You know, there's a ton of different activities and things going on around the spring game. We have fun up here in the press box, but these are so important. These are important reps, and we got...
It's Decker DeGraff, the sophomore, who couldn't catch it off the back shoulder.
To your point, Yogi, these are important reps for these young guys, being disciplined with their eyes, disciplined with their hands, and making sure they're playing through plays with these quarterbacks being live.
Tristan Warner there in coverage.
A little out and up, trying to catch the defense sleep. And I think, to me, that one of the takeaways, I know we're midway through the third here, fellas, but it's been the defense. It's played really disciplined. You haven't seen a lot of missed tackles. You haven't seen a lot of players outside of their gap. I get it. It's the spring game. It's on television. Everybody's watching it.
Yeah.
You don't want to show too much, but it's been really sound. And for only 14 practices, with Ryan Walters calling and orchestrating this defense, I've been impressed.
McMillan on the run. And, oh, he tried to fit it in to Vines Bright. We heard he's got a big arm, and he put it on display there.
He's trying to show it off. I'd love to see him put his foot in the ground and get up the hashes there, Yogi, and try and go score at that point. You know, it's 2nd down, making that decision, not trying to fit it in, getting up there.
Take a look at some of the early enrollee freshmen on defense.
Again, so many new faces, 34 total new faces in the spring here for Washington, and these freshmen have had an opportunity. Don't get to see Zadrian Rainey sail. He's a little banged up at linebacker. Looking forward to watching some of these other young guys. There's a shot of Isaiah Ward. I know they got big plans for him on this defensive front as well, coming off the edge.
6 minutes to go here in the third quarter, so a timeout as part of the plan for this spring football game in a one-score game coming up on July 12th. The BTN Big 10K returns to Soldier Field in Chicago. Scan the QR code.
The spring football game, there's Taylor Mays talking to his defense. Again, today in the spring game, you get to bring out the iPads, trying to teach a little bit. Taylor Mays, we talked to him earlier today, fellas in the facility, so excited to be back home and be here up in Seattle. He said if you went to his home, there'd just be photos of him in this stadium, right? His dad, of course, played here. It's kind of a surreal moment for him, but here we are in this third down, fellas. I wonder, like, do they bring a little bit of pressure here against this freshman quarterback, or do they just force him to sit back and try to deal on 3rd and 10?
I'm going to say they keep it vanilla and see if he can deal on 3rd and 10 in the red zone.
Okay, I like it, man. I'm going to keep my eyes on the edge. Isaiah Ward, number 91. He's got legit speed off the edge. He'll be at the bottom of the screen.
So 3rd down and 10 coming up. Got some more action on the field. Yogi, you mentioned some of the party tomorrow, the Windermere Cup here, which is a big race, big regatta. Lake Washington's going to be packed. The Montlake Cut behind us here at the stadium.
If you have not been and experienced it, you have to go experience it. The crowd is crazy, and it's so much fun. A ton of festivities surrounding.
There's Lake Washington, and then the Montlake Cut. Where we are right now was completely underwater at the University of Washington. The nation's best rowers here at the University of Washington. And meanwhile, we got a 3rd down now for McMillan going to Vines Bright, who's having a day. Did he get in? Yes. Touchdown for the freshman, Raiden Vines Bright.
We talked about young receivers being allowed an opportunity to show their stuff off here in the spring game, and Vines Bright is showing it off today.
Tell you what, the location of the ball, the timing of the ball, the late eyes of the wideout Vines Bright as a true freshman. It's just a simple fade ball. 1, 2, 3, ball out. It's firm with an arc. It's high and away from the DB. Clemens has no chance. It's perfect location. Coverage is pretty good. You throw it high and away. Vines Bright, let's see, is he in? They'll take a look.
That foot, great body control, going up and going to get it.
No.
Hold on.
Spring game, we'll give it to him.
Herbert's ruling on the field as a touchdown.
Toe heel is the rule.
Do we see enough evidence there? Oh, we didn't get.
We're not going to send it out back.
We already have the kick.
The way they go.
That's a kick of the day. As well, he's doing it all. And look, there's no question. The University of Washington, you got the Seahawks, you got the Mariners. There is a lot in this town from a sports standpoint. So you got to be a star to cut through the noise, and this guy's a star, and he's embracing it.
This is most definitely a sports town. Even you got the Kraken and the Supersonic coming back pretty soon too, and they say Jonah Coleman is a star amongst stars. You can tell, you can see him there showing love to the young future Huskies in the stands, the youngsters up there. He is a great teammate, a leader, and a fantastic running back.
Yeah, and Jonah Coleman, a big reason why he decided to come back this year, and it makes sense now that he's trimmed a little weight off. He wanted to get better at route running. He wanted to be a better pass catcher coming back for this last year. A lot of Husky fans didn't know if he would, but I'm sure they're glad that he is back.
You know, they want to be so dynamic. You see the big play there from Devin Bryant making the stop on Chris Lawson. But look, Marcel, you're a receiver. You go to fullback in the NFL, you know what it means to be a dynamic and dangerous route runner out of the backfield. What is he adding to his game if he's able to do that?
He's adding versatility to his game. One thing that I always heard when I was first in the league, and Yogi, you probably heard this too. The late great Greg Knapp used to say, the more you can do, you can stay on the field, you add value to your team and to your offense, and that's something I used to pride myself into, being unguardable. That Swiss Army knife is what they call. And Jonah Coleman is coming into that same scenario. He is a fantastic football player.
Byerly connects with Gayton there for the catch. And a 19-yard pickup.
Yeah, I think the thing that to me is most impressive for Jonah Coleman isn't necessarily just how he runs and the style in which he's evolved, but he's embraced all things in this new era.
Yeah.
Like, yes, of course, he chose to stay here. He said he had 10+ offers the minute the season ended. He could have departed. He had a chance to go to the NFL. Said, no, I want to come back here, and I want to not only sharpen my game, but I want to graduate. Again, he's a 3.93 GPA. He's on his second school. I just think that we can't talk enough about Jonah Coleman.
Yeah.
Every time he's around, whether it's kids in the community, people in this community on campus, no one has ever said a negative word about him. He's selfless, he's humble, and he's a baller. I mean, he's truly the face of this university's football program right now.
He's shining. More ways than one.
Yeah, he is. Those teeth look nice.
Real. Sheesh.
Byerly trying to get out of the backfield, and instead he goes down and is sacked by Deshaun Lynch.
You know what's cool about all of his abilities is you think about the offensive line last year that he was running behind. 38 rushes of 10+ yards or more. That means he is breaking tackles. And you look at that list, everybody other than him is in an NFL minicamp this weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, he's clearly going to play at that next level, but I just think when you look at that group and the offensive lines, Washington struggled the most out of all of them. You know, they were trying to figure it out all season long, and they found ways with Jed Fish and company to be creative, get him touches, and he just continued to find ways to move the sticks.
3rd down and 17 here for Byerly. And pressure again, and this time he gets it out to Austin Simmons. His second catch that he stood up by Leroy Bryant, who then gets some help from Ramones Adams. They played so many close games last year. Won at home, didn't win on the road, and had some heartbreakers. Of course, the Apple Cup, they wear that one until they play again early in the season at Rutgers. The SC win, and then Louisville by one in the bowl game.
Can't keep reminding us about that Apple Cup, all right, guy? We got it.
I don't think I have to. I think it's on everybody's mind.
No doubt. I think Jed Fish being in his second year here and this team being used to what he brings and building that culture, that's what helps you get over the hump with those close games. And I believe that he's going to focus on that. You think about that. You had 3 wins to this team last year, and it is a completely different conversation.
And like part of it is year one. He was hired January 16th, as
Yeah.
late as you could literally hire anybody in college football. So last year they were navigating it. This year, this is what they have to navigate. 5 teams they play that have a bye before they play Washington. Not the easiest of schedules, but it's going to be fun. Ohio State, can you imagine that game here in this stadium? It's going to be a blast. A rematch against Michigan after the last 2 years, right? The national championship, and then Washington winning it last year. It'll be fun.
One thing you know about a Washington Husky team and the football schedule, we run from nothing. We started off with a good Colorado State team, and we have a tough schedule. I say we, you're right. It's a spring game, so no matter what happens today, Huskies are winning.
It's Chris Peterson's UC Davis Aggies.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
And then Washington State.
And I'll tell you what, all of those early games are going to be a challenge. Colorado State, they got a good passing attack. UC Davis, I'm telling you, you dive into these teams. Tim Plow, if you know anything about him in college football, his offense is moving the ball, so they'll challenge this team. And I think UW is going to be that sexy team that people talk about heading into the season. They got Damon Williams, they have Jonah Coleman, they got this new defensive coordinator and Ryan Walters. They're going to have to make sure that they're locked in early on, because they'll be playing against some teams that are capable of moving the route.
You're right, Yogi. A ton of optimism and a competitive schedule. You love to see that in the new landscape of college football.
Audric Harris with that catch. And a quick move there from the quarterback, Keeney McMillan, who was under some heat. He is live. The quarterback's live in the second half. They can be hit. They can be tackled. And McMillan with an athletic play here, the final seconds of the third quarter. The Gold trying to add on The Purple led 6-3 at halftime.
We need Michael Penix Jr. What's he got down there on the sideline as the honorary head coach?
This is Beck Walker, the walk-on running back. Gets that out near midfield, and it should be the end of this third quarter. The winners get a post-game meal of surf and turf.
Gets an opportunity to volunteer for the Gators, and from there his mentors and his community have just grown in so many powerful ways.
Isaiah Ward
coming off the edge there. But you're just talking a little bit more about Jed's path, right? Steve Spurrier, he taught him how you want to be aggressive. Treat every down almost like it's third down. Don't leave anything on your call sheet. Mike Shanahan, he said, make sure everything in your offense is married, meaning the run and the pass game don't look any different at the top of the drop. See the play action game. Sean McVay, one of the great communicators in all of sport, impressed him there. Jim Harbaugh, we know the quote, right? Attack every day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. You referenced Pete Carroll earlier. He was here all of last season. His son Brennan was the offensive coordinator, offensive line coach. It was all about competition. It's a huge theme of the program. And then Bill Belichick, right? His son Steve was here, and he really taught him about insisting on smart, tough, physical football. If you do those three things, you got a shot. I think that's a beautiful melding of all those elements is what this program is and where Jedd Fisch is in his career. He's himself. He's not trying to be any of those guys, but he's taken the pieces and molded them into his own coaching philosophy. We saw it in Arizona, and I think year 2 here at UW, Marcel, I think we're going to see it grow even more.
Yeah, Yogi, to your point, I love the fact that Jedd is not just trying to emulate one of those great mentors, but taking some great aspect of all of them and becoming his own. It's a fantastic trait of his, and love that he's bringing it back here to UW and showing all these players. He's doing it with a purpose. He's not just bringing anyone. If you bring that, look at that Rolodex and count off all those guys who have been here involved in this program and talking to these players, and they're hearing those voices and getting those examples, there are championships amongst championships speaking into these players.
So what does that actually mean for how you run offense? Because there's a long history of great offense. He could try and put that all in the playbook. It'd be a big playbook.
Yeah, well, I think that was a really cool part of their offseason. And you look at the active win streak here. I mean, this place gives you an advantage when you need a home game. We'll start with that. But schematically, they put the entire offense, all the people that have impacted and influenced Jedd Fisch and Jimmy Doherty and everybody, Kevin Cummings, this entire offensive staff, and said, what do we do best with Damon Williams? And I think the best coaches do that in the offseason, because you're right, Guy, you do get a little bit from everywhere you have been, and all of a sudden you could have too much. It could be, the verbiage can be too long, versus what is the best thing for Damon Williams as our true starting quarterback, and Jonah Coleman, an elite back, a much improved offensive line, a tight end group that can play, a potential top receiver in the Big Ten in Denzel Boston, get some transfers, some young players that can help out. And that's where I think this team is going to be once they get to training camp. And then it's about finessing what that offense is. They're going to run the rock, be based on the outside zone scheme. They're going to do play action, but they're going to have some RPO games. And they studied it this offseason, right? They studied Lamar Jackson. They studied the history of the last 5-7 years of NFL football, running quarterbacks, and what can we add to tweak to what we do?
Shane Kuykendall, by the way, our 5th quarterback of the day, has come in at quarterback. The transfer from Northern Colorado, and he throws it complete to Austin Simmons. Marcel, you've played in offense with mobile quarterbacks. Yeah. I don't know how this guy, everybody's different, but what does that do to the other 10 guys on the field when you know you've got a quarterback that can move it away?
Well, first of all, it keeps you on your toes. It keeps you on your toes no matter what, because you know, especially when you're talking about a guy like Damon Williams, he wants to throw the football. He just has the ability to run and run against anyone. So he's not going to just try and pass the line of scrimmage. He's going to keep his eyes down the field, and he's going to get the ball out. So as a receiver, you want to stay live, be quarterback friendly, meaning coming back to the quarterback, not just running away, and he has a big arm, so he can throw that ball down the field. I think the biggest thing for this Washington Husky offense is first understanding what you are. What is your identity? You want to start to run the ball, put pressure on defenses by running the football and setting the tone with one of the best backs in the country, and then allowing your young receivers and your young quarterback to go crazy.
Kuykendall's having some fun here, getting an opportunity, and he can't connect on that throw. And you talk about the pro influence. And we showed it earlier, the graphic on some of the new coaches. J.P. Lossman is the quarterback.
Well, I think
Another one of my quarterbacks.
There you go. There you go.
Or QB assistant.
Coming out of Venice High School in Los Angeles. I'll tell you what, this new era we're in college football, Jetfish has embraced. Right? So just like the NFL, every full-time position coach has an assistant that can support them, aid them as they're breaking film down, working out on the field in practice, giving unlimited coaches now on the practice field. And Jetfish added 11 full-time staffers in the recruiting and personnel department. How about that?
Jace
Burton, the son of a Husky DB, Nigel Burton.
Yeah.
We've known Jace since he was a 9-year-old. His dream was to play here in this stadium, create his own path, but he learned it from his dad. I was with him when he committed here. He was with Boyer Malloy. It was in advance of the national championship game 2 years ago, and he goes, I want to go chase this dream. And I love that Jetfish continues to make sure that walk-ons are a part of this program. Jace Burton is one of them, coming out of the Portland community. It's awesome just seeing him on the field.
Nigel Burton, Lawyer Malloy, Law Dog, you are naming DBU alums out here, Yogi.
Kuykendall, and unable to hold on was Chris Lawson. Here's a guy we mentioned earlier, Marcel, who has a chance. You know, the veteran receivers are very established, 1, 2, 3 maybe on the depth chart, but could this young freshman at receiver make an impact right away?
Without a doubt. You can tell he has really good size. He has really good hands. He can play the position. He is going to have to understand his role and realize that he can be productive. You have Amari Evans coming in from Penn State, who is a big-time wide receiver, can stretch the field. He can make big plays. He's going to be a fantastic number 2. You know who the number 1's going to be with Denzel. You have to establish yourself as a guy who can be productive, catch the ball, and move the chains. And to your point, Guy, he can be the guy, the young freshman in Lawson.
Kuykendall taking a shot, and that is broken up by Ramones Adams. Great coverage on Luke Gayton. Carson Bruner, great Husky alum now on the field with Alyssa.
Yeah, and freshly drafted into the NFL. Carson, tell me what it meant to go to the same team that your dad went to, the Pittsburgh Steelers, 30 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy moment for sure. Something that we were really able to celebrate. And I mean, I had my whole family with me, and I was sitting in the same exact spot, the same house my dad was drafted 30 years ago, same team. So it's just something fun to just have my family there and just celebrate that for sure.
How excited are you to join that group? I mean, Mike Tomlin, pretty legendary defense over there.
I mean, I'm very excited to get out there, get to work. I mean, their defense has been known in the AFC North. It's something where, I mean, I've been watching them for a long time, obviously being a huge Steelers fan, and now being able to put on that Steelers jersey, it's going to be a real, unreal moment for sure.
And I know you said earlier that your mom was telling you got to start long snapping just to make sure that you're more versatile. You've been a special teams guy too. I mean, you make big hits as a linebacker, but any addition to the long snapping?
I've been working on it a little bit. I mean, it's a little side gig that I'll have going, but at the end of the day, I know I'm going to make my money on special teams. I know that's my ticket in the NFL. I know I'm a great linebacker. I have confidence in myself, but I'm not foolish. I know special teams is something I excel at. It's something I feel like I'm going to make a name at for sure.
Well, we so appreciate your time. Thanks for being down here. And you got rookie minicamp pretty soon, right?
Yes, I do. I fly out Wednesday, so I'm excited for it.
All right, we'll be watching. Thanks, Carson. Back to you guys.
So the Bruner legacy, that's just incredible. I mean, can you imagine for that family how awesome that is?
I mean, the draft and that experience is already one that can just consume you. Like, where am I going to go? Am I going to go? How am I going to go? And the Steelers to call him. Like, what a prestigious organization. The legacy of his dad, who is a scout in the NFL with the Steelers, and now his son gets to go there. I can only imagine what that moment was like behind closed doors.
No doubt an unbelievable moment, not only for him as the son looking up to his dad and then trying to make him proud, but that entire family, the Bruner family, and the Steeler family. Come on now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And now they got to replace his production. They lose a lot at linebacker.
Yeah, they really do, whether it's in the portal, or whether it's for the NFL, or just exhausting your eligibility. So they bring in Buda Alukta, who's just going to be an absolute beast for this defense. I think he's going to be really the focal point and the green dot, the communicator on this defense. And while it's like a 5-1 scheme, oftentimes, sometimes you'll see one linebacker on the field. In this league, you got to stop the run. And you can't just have one linebacker do it. So you're looking at a list there. X-Ray Alexander transfers in from UCF. They're hopeful that Jacob Manu, after talking to Jetfish this week, will be able to play this season. That's news. didn't know if he was going to make it back after the injury last season. So that would be huge, whether it's production, his leadership traits, his understanding of the scheme. I mean, he's been all over the meeting room for this group. And then they got some young guys, Jonathan Epperson and company. Looking forward to watching that. And Anthony Ward, we've seen him a little bit as well, make a few plays for this linebacker group. But they have to be productive, and you got to be able to run sideline to sideline. And there it is, getting a little taste. Buda Alupta.
Interacting with the fans. You know, Jetfish has made it clear to his guys, you're part of this community. Let the players see you. Let the fans see you. They can be your support system here in, you know, whatever the future of college football looks like. But he's made no bones about it. Like in the NIL world, your team and your fan base, they got to get to know each other.
And this is one of those cities where you should really embrace it, because once they do embrace it, this fan base, this city is going to continue to embrace them back and feed in and breathe life into them as young athletes and young men and this program.
Raiden Vines Bright with another big play. He's had a big day.
He has had a big day. He has stood out. This freshman receiving group, and you know this, you come into college in spring ball and you're just trying to figure it out. You're trying to understand this pro style system is very complex, and you're never really playing as fast as you can until the last week of spring. And as the coaching staff said, all these freshmen have made a huge jump, and they've been impressive today on this field with the lights on, dogs after dark. To me, one of the big takeaways I think I have, Marcel, this game is these young playmakers.
Yeah, Yogi, I'm with you on that. These young playmakers can be huge, have huge productivity coming into this season.
I mean,
Looking at Raiden Vines Bright, look at his day-to-day. Using his eyes, great eyes, strong hands to the ball, turning up the field. I said it earlier, he has a precision in his route running, especially at the top of his route. He has a quickness, really good body control. You see him there, turning back for the ball. Great eyes, reverse pivoting, hitting upfield. This is a young wide receiver that's really showing his talents today. Again, the body control, wherewithal, trying to get the foot down. We don't have a replay. I don't know if he did, but it counts today. Having fun out there, playing some really good football. Raiden Vines Bright, 6 receptions, 89 yards, and a touchdown today, and 24 rush yards. He's showing that he can do it all.
Yeah, add one more. Yeah, there you go. I'll tell you what I really like about this is that Amari Evans, Kevin Green, Rasheed Williams, they're not going today. But these freshmen are playing well. That's just going to elevate the room. Watch the route. Chase the outside shoulder, drop his hips, run out full speed, and there is enough room on the sideline. I mean, just growth in the spring game for this young man.
Did you see how he was driving forward on that straight stem, and he looks back at the quarterback, manipulating the DB with his eyes, then drops his weight and gets right back to the ball. We used to say he is quick as a cat. I love seeing it. I had a great wide receiver coach that recruited me and brought me here to Seattle. His name was Eric Yarbrough. He's with the Rams right now. Yarbs was a fantastic coach, unbelievable recruiter, and a great man and a mentor of mine. He taught me during spring ball, coming into UW, that the game has to slow down for you. He said, Marcel, use your speed to get up to the route. The game slows down when you start to see the laces and the point of the ball. You see the stitches of the wall. That's when the game slows down. It was my spring game here, I think it was 2006, where I started to see the laces of the ball coming at me, and the game slows down. It looks like Raiden Vines Bright is showcasing the game starting to slow down for him.
Yeah, hey, first drive of the game, right? Opportunity to put the ball in his hands. He's had a very impressive evening.
I don't think he's come off the field either.
No, and again, I just think that it's such a competitive position, and we know Jetfish well enough. He's going to play whoever the 3 receivers are that he could trust the most. We know Denzel Boston's going to be one of them.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think it's cemented that the other 2 or other 3 are already locked in. I mean, this is a competitive group. Kevin Cummings, much like your old receiver coach, is phenomenal at developing these wide receivers. Remember, this is a group that identified and then recruited. Ted Jerome McMillan, for his first 2 seasons, just became a top 10 draft pick.
Raiden Vines Bright again down the sideline. He might have another one.
And he does. And he's inbounds. He steps out at the 3. Wow. He has given Jonah Coleman a run for the MVP of the day.
He had an awesome release to even start the play. Look at him, speed release off, pushes back, uses his hand on the shoulder, tries to hold the red line, stays in bounds for the catch. Really fantastic focus. Look at him. Eyes track the ball all the way into the basket.
About a 35-yard play.
How about the throw? It was kind of a dime.
And if we were to review this, I think he's out closer to the 1, but the ball spotted at the 3.
And again,
he get like an extra dessert? Is that what the MVP gets?
Well, let's see if they even get a playoff here. 6 seconds before the 2-minute timeout.
To the corner, and it is broken up. Oh, it was Audric Harris fighting, and Vincent Holmes, the sophomore, able to knock that out at the last moment.
You know, the safety position is vital in this offense, or in this defense for Ryan Walters. Vincent Holmes is somebody who used to play wide receiver last spring briefly, comes on back. He's playing in the secondary, started against USC last year. Nice seeing him make a play there, fighting right to the end.
And now we're under 2 minutes. The 2-minute timing comes into play here. The goal trying to put the finishing touches on a post-game feast. And the quarterback, McMillan, is stopped shy of the goal line by Alex McLaughlin.
You know what's kind of fun about the Gold team is that Ryan Walters, while he is the defensive coordinator, remember last year at Purdue, he was calling plays on offense.
Right.
You know, like
into the season there.
Majority of the season after they made a change in the offensive coordinator. So let's see what he decides to do here on this 3rd and goal. Excuse me. 3rd and goal.
Goal.
With the game in hand, they're trying to pile it on here. Get another one.
McMillan was looking for Vines Bright, throws it over the middle, and it's picked off by McLaughlin.
That's 6.
McLaughlin's going to take this, maybe.
Oh no! I told you,
Jordan Washington, the
can
speedster,
fly.
is able to track him down. Wow, another electric run. Washington to save a touchdown, but the purple's not totally done yet.
Tell you what, Donald Butler, right? He's the head coach. He decides to go for it instead of, hey, let's just run the ball, end the game. We got the lead. Almost a pick 6 into your play. Beautiful job of reading the eyes. And McLaughlin, first time playing in this stadium. Whoa. And Washington said, hey, I've been here before. I'm gonna hawk you down, man.
It's like the old Mortal Kombat video game. Scorpion says, get over here.
How about catching the back of the ball? That is a great shot by our crew. And McLaughlin, the run fits. Nice job there reading the eyes of the quarterback.
So the purple, they need to move quickly. Byerly.
Oh, he
drops
drops
it.
it.
Pick. No, unable to hold on was Adams, who's been all around the ball tonight on defense.
Tell you what, Lawson, give him credit. The freshmen, right? And this is the storyline, right? These freshmen are emerging.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not going to catch the ball. Can you become a defensive back? Beautiful job by him. And the secondary staying on top of the deep ball.
You know, the coach made it an emphasis to his players. Let's have fun today. And they're having fun. Like, this has been fun to watch these guys compete.
Who knows if there's going to be traditional spring games anymore, even spring football in the month of April, early May. I got to feel like Jed Fish will do something like this.
He'll figure something out.
Yeah, he will.
I'll tell you what, if this is the last one, I'm happy I spent it with you two.
Oh, my man.
Coming up, the Big Show delivers highlights, interviews, and complete analysis. That's coming up next on the Big Ten Network.
Okay, so let's just go big picture here. Offensive line improved? Check. I think we've seen that with the tackles and the guards and the young players. Quarterback, Damon Williams, dynamic? Check. Jonah Coleman, kicker. Can hawk people if he's on defense after a turnover, and of course, dynamic running back. Check. And the defense, I just think that storyline, not a lot of missed assignments today, and they didn't have 2 cornerstones on the outside at corner. Walking away from this game, fellas, pretty impressed.
To your point, Yogi, that back end also staying on top and eliminating big plays. Although we got a touchdown in the red zone.
Busted coverage, the only one we've seen tonight. You see the communication of the DB saying, who had who? It doesn't matter. Marcus Harris says, I got 6.
Marcus Harris ran a great route, something like that spray fade where he widens, and as soon as that DB gets too wide, I stick my foot in the ground, get inside, and the quarterback throws a fake. A great ball right on the numbers.
Nice
there
job.
it is there. 2 yards outside the hash. Perfect landmark for that. Here you go with the spray fade. Get out there. Little stutter there too, Yogi.
Freshman receiver saying, hey, I'm going to meet you. I'm going to match you.
Three-star recruit out of Southern California committed to. That's Isaiah Ward. That's Isaiah Ward trying to match Jonah Coleman's special teams. Well, that's a shame.
Great effort.
Marcus Harris, who flipped from Oklahoma, the weakest signing for the touchdown. Ward unable to add the point after. But that's the joy of the touchdown.
Go give some love to Harry the Husky.
That's cool.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So a lot of fun at the end for the purple. In the end, they're going to end up with the rice and beans, and the gold team gets the steak, the shrimp, the salmon.
But they all got better, and I think that's the point. You know, Jed Fish said, hey, can we grow? They did that.
I'll listen with the head coach, Jed Fish.
All right, Coach, you finished maybe in record time.